morning. Happy Sunday. I am Ashley Dory. I'm the Children's Director at First United Methodist Church in Camden, Arkansas, and I'm so glad you're joining me this morning. I hope you guys have been having good weather where you are. I know the weather here last Sunday was kind of rough and we lost power for a couple of days, but we're happy that it's all back on. Today, we are going to be reading a Bible story about Jesus and his disciples and a time when they all enjoyed breakfast together on the beach. So this story comes from the book of John, and it's the 21st chapter, and we're going to be kind of reading a condensed version, but if you want to read at home, it is the book of John in chapter 21. So we're going to start with chapter 21, verses 1 through 14. Peter said to his friends, "I'm going fishing. Want to go with me?" They all grabbed their nets and went fishing. The disciples fished all night, but they never caught one fish. In the morning, a man appeared on the shore. The man called out to the disciples, "If you cast your net to the other side of the boat, you will catch some fish." The disciples weren't sure, but they threw their net out to the other side of the boat. So many fish were caught, the disciples could hardly pull the net back in. Now I want you to think for a minute. How, first of all, do you think they felt when they were fishing all night and they didn't catch one fish? I don't know if you've ever been fishing, but it can get kind of boring if you're just sitting there not catching anything. "Look, the man on the shore, it's Jesus," said John. Peter jumped out of the boat and went to Jesus. The other disciples followed. "Bring some of your fish you caught, and we can all eat some of the fish and bread for breakfast," Jesus said. Jesus took the fish, said a prayer to God, and shared the fish with the disciples. Jesus took the bread, said a prayer of thanks to God, and shared the bread with the disciples. Now, when they were probably really frustrated and really bored after sitting there all night, and then all of a sudden they throw the net onto the other side of the boat, and they catch 153 fish doing what Jesus said. I'm sure they were pretty excited about that, don't you think? So the next section comes from, again, the book of John, chapter 21, and this is verses 15 through 19. And this takes place, they've eaten breakfast, and Jesus takes a moment to talk to Peter, and this is their conversation that they have. When Jesus and the disciples finished eating breakfast on the beach, Jesus asked Peter a question. "Peter, do you love me?" Peter answered, "Yes, Jesus, you know that I love you." Jesus said to Peter, "Feed my lambs. Share God's love with everyone." Jesus asked Peter again, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter answered, "Yes, Jesus, you know that I love you." Jesus said to Peter, "Take care of my sheep." Jesus asked Peter again, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter was sad that Jesus asked him a third time if he loved Jesus. Peter answered, "Yes, Jesus, you know everything. You know that I love you. You are my best friend." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Follow my example." Pray with me for a moment. Dear God, help me care for all of your people like Jesus and Peter did. Amen. Now, why do you think that Jesus asked Peter 3 times if he loved him? And what did he mean by asking Peter to take care of his sheep, to feed his sheep? What did he mean by that? I want you to think about that. I have the story, and I'm going to read it a little bit differently this time. This is kind of a little bit funny, and it's a little bit of a different version of the story. It's actually meant to be acted out as a play, and the characters are Peter, John, Thomas, James, a narrator, and Jesus. So just kind of bear with me. So Peter says, "I'm going fishing." And John, Thomas, and James are like, "Okay, we'll go with you." The friends got into a boat and rowed out onto the lake. The friends worked together to throw the big net out into the water, but they caught nothing. The friends worked all night long. So Thomas says, "There's the sun. I'm ready to call it quits. Let's row back to shore." As they neared the shore, they saw a man standing there. The man was Jesus, but the friends did not know it was him. Jesus says, "Hey guys, have you caught any fish?" James, "Anybody know this guy?" "Haven't caught a thing," said Peter to Jesus. Jesus says, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat." "It can't hurt, I guess," said John. The friends did as Jesus said. They worked together to throw the big net into the water. This time they caught lots and lots of fish. "Whoa! How did that guy know that would work?" said Thomas. "Wait, that's Jesus," says Thomas. "What?" says Peter as he jumps into the water. "Don't worry about us, Peter. We'll get all these fish ourselves," said James. Peter eventually helped the disciples bring in the net, all 153 fish inside of it. "I'll make breakfast," said Jesus. So Jesus cooked and they all ate. After breakfast, Peter spoke with Peter. Peter spoke with Jesus. And Jesus said, "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Jesus, you know I love you." Jesus said, "Then I want you to care for others, just like a shepherd cares for sheep, okay?" "Got it," says Peter. "You're sure you love me?" asked Jesus again. "Yes," says Peter. "Don't flake out on me this time. Deal?" says Jesus. Deal. Later, Peter became a leader in the Christian church. He kept his word to Jesus. So I want you to kind of think about that version. I want you to think about if it meant differently this time to you, if the reading stood out in a different way. So I have a couple of activities. I try to give you activities each week that you can do at home. So one of the ways to think about this story and a way to interpret it is the 153 fish. I want you to think about that as a way of looking at God's love, Jesus' love for us, and the vastness of his love for us. And so one of the activities I have is using Play-Doh and making hearts and thinking about the love that Jesus has for us and has for everyone, and how he wants us to take that love he has for us and share it with others. So if you have cookie cutter heart, it would be probably a little bit easier. I could not find a cookie cutter heart, so I just rolled my Play-Doh out like a snake and then kind of tried to form a heart with it. It'd be a lot easier if it were laid out on a table. The other activity I have is using our Bible verse that we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. And if you remember, the Bible verse is from Matthew. It says, "Now hurry, go and tell his disciples, he's been raised from the dead." And that is Matthew chapter 28, verse 7. And what you can do is you can draw out some fish And I'm calling this kind of like a scramble. You draw a fish and then take a word from the verse and put each word inside of a fish. And when you're done, you can cut them out, scramble them around, and then lay them out in order to help you with memorizing the Bible verse. So before we go, I'd like to say a quick prayer. So please bow your heads with me. Dear God, thank you for your overflowing love. Help us to show love by taking care of others. Amen. Thank you for joining me this week, and I hope you'll join me again next week. Thank you.